haven't been feeling like as if I hate my life, I hate myself, like I don't want to be here. However, what I have been feeling is I don't know how I'm going to get through the day tomorrow. I have been feeling like that at times. Hi, I hope you're all well. It has been a very long time since I've been here. If anybody is new around here, hi, my name's Alana. I am a 38-year-old woman living in Scotland, and that's where my accent is from. And at this point of any kind of intro, I would usually say on this channel we talk about skincare, beauty, hair care, all that kind of bullshit. But the truth is, I don't know where this channel is going to be going. That's the honest truth. Basically, I've had a lot of kind of thoughts, a lot of things going on in my health, a lot of things going on in my mental health. The last video that you would have seen was the fact that I had a baby who was 7 weeks early, Thomas. If anyone is concerned about that, just to let you know, he's doing really well. There is going to be another video all about him and kind of how I brought him home and what happened. If it's already up, then I'll link it here. If not, then keep your eye out for it. Make sure you subscribe and all that other YouTuber crap. This video, however, is going to be about basically where I've been, my postpartum journey second time round, what it's been like having two babies, or a toddler and a baby, and where we're at the now, because as I say, I don't know where this channel is going to go. I had said a little while ago that I wasn't sure where I belonged anymore, like I didn't have a niche, wasn't that bothered about not having a niche because, you know, you can't put yourself in a wee box. However, it's one of these things where a lot of the time on this channel I was talking about beauty or skincare or hair care or makeup or fashiony things, and the reality is now that I don't have time to do that. I don't have time every day to put on makeup. I'm not wearing makeup as frequently as I once was. I have two kids to look after, and in life and seasons things change, don't they? And the reality is I think I would feel a little bit of a dupe if I was coming on here and saying to you, oh yeah, I'm going to try this out against this, or blah blah blah, is this worth your money? When the reality is, for the last at least 4 months, all my makeup has been in this tiny little bag. It's all I've been using. I have not really went into anything else. What's been on my face is as glamorous as it gets. I've not been doing anything fancier. Maybe, you know, maybe a red lip, maybe a slight change, I think, but that's about it. Everything else, it's just been super basic. Let's just kind of get into the midst of what's been going on postpartum for me, because it's been a completely different journey. I have a very different baby this time around. I have been being seen by perinatal psychiatry since probably, I think about 25 weeks pregnancy. I got referred to them. Unfortunately, I never actually got to meet anybody till after my baby was born because he came so early. I kind of mentioned that as well in the vlogs, but I've been followed by them. They will continue to follow me up until at least Thomas is a year old, to make sure I'm okay. And with that, it's not just about because Thomas came early, because I've had two very difficult pregnancies, or I've had two children in the NICU. It's not all about that, because there's a lot going on just now as well, or a lot, it's still going on or has been going on about me as well. This pregnancy has been, like, post-pregnancy has been very, very different. The first time round, let me put it this way, if you're new around here and you don't know, the first time round I had a horrible pregnancy. I had an elective section due to the fact that I've got type 1 diabetes and I've had heart surgery twice. There are lots of vlogs up. I'll link the pregnancy vlogs in the corner if you want to go back to 2.5, nearly 3 years ago and see that. It's completely up to you, especially if you are somebody who is a type 1 diabetic and that's where you've kind of found this video or came across me somehow. The pregnancies themselves were similar. I still had terrible hyperemesis with both of them. I bled in the first one, not in the second one, which was really relieving. However, Thomas got bigger quicker than Jack did. The first one kind of grew steadily to a point and then dropped off a cliff and became really big. He was born at £9.8, I want to say, and he was 37 weeks. Thomas was born at 33 weeks, but he was born at £6.7. Is it £6.7 or £6.4? I can't remember at this point, sorry. And so I had two very big babies for their size. However, Thomas obviously was born very, very early, but he is doing well now. He is the correct developmental stage for his corrected age, if you look at it from a normal gestational age point. So I had all that to deal with. That aside, Thomas is a completely different baby to Jack. Completely different. And in my first pregnancy and postpartum recovery, as I said, I had a section. Basically, my scar is non-existent. You cannot even see it. If I can film some footage, I will put it over the top of this so you can see. Because I had Jack at 37 weeks and he was such a big baby, they've put like the scar a little bit further down and it healed beautifully. I didn't have any issues, and because of where they made the cut, essentially I don't think there was any, like, it was a flat surface anyway, so it didn't have any issue. Whereas the cut that they made for Thomas, because he was earlier and smaller, they couldn't go into the same incision. They couldn't go into the same scar, which is quite a lot of the time what happens if you're having back-to-back C-section. Not for everybody, but a lot of people have 2 sections, 3 sections, and it's the same scar, they open up again. They couldn't do that because he was higher. My bump was higher. I was having him a lot more prematurely. So they had to go in probably about 2 centimetres just above where my old scar is. But due to the fact of them going in there, it is right on the area where you would have like a little apron fold naturally anyway. And I have now had 2 babies, so my belly is not as flat as it once was. I'm carrying a bit more weight this time, which I'll get into later on in the video. But it means that I now have that classic kind of C-section shelf area. Now I have been doing my massage every day. I done massage with Jack and the scar that I had from him every single day. It healed beautifully, as I say. If I do put in the footage and you can see it just now, please remember that the scar that I have with Jack is almost 3 years old. He'll be 3 in March. And obviously the one with Thomas is only 4 months old. So for that, I still think it's looking good, but in my mind, looking at it as to what Jack's went like to the one that I've got from Thomas, I don't think this scar is ever going to be flat, no matter how much massage I do, no matter if I'm doing it every day for like 15 minutes a day, or if I do it for 5 minutes a day once a week. Like, I just feel like it's never going to be completely flat and smooth like the one I had with Jack. So physically, that's been a big change. I mean, I have a scar from under my left breast, almost under my left breast. It's not quite as far round as like here, but here anyway. Right round my back, and it goes right up to where your kind of bra line or a bikini line would be on your top half. From having heart surgery as a child. So the fact that I have a scar on my body doesn't bother me so much. That's fair enough. It's not somewhere that people are going to see in my clothes. Nobody is going to know anything. But psychologically, in my first pregnancy, I prepared myself to have a scar like I now have. I prepared myself for the worst. At the end of the day, I don't need anybody saying anything like, your 2 babies got here safely. You have to thank people for that. I am well aware of that. So just in case anybody feels like I am not aware of that, I am heavily aware of that. But it doesn't diminish the feelings I now have about my body, because it's different. It's totally different. The underwear that I would usually wear now sits right on that area. Like, it's, before it was like lower down and I could still continue to wear the same clothes, the same styles, things like that. And now I am so aware of it. So now I'm in like my high-waisted pants from pregnancy. And listen, I was in my high-waisted pants from pregnancy with Jack as well. I've still got a pair for his birth as well, because they're comfortable, right? They're comfortable. It's nothing to do with anything else. But bikinis, things like that, come this summer, it's going to be a different way of looking at things, a different body. And am I ashamed of my scar? Not in the slightest. Not in any way, shape or form. I'm not ashamed of it. It gave me my beautiful son. He got here safely and is now very well. So I'm very, very happy with that. But I think because of the really good healing and recovery journey I had last time, to then come through it a second time and have the thing I was kind of dreading has been tough. That's been tough with regards to my figure, my shape, how I feel about myself. my confidence in myself. And that's down to, like I say, nobody can see it under my clothes, but it has given me confidence issues, and it's given me confidence issues even in an intimate way, because I'm so aware it's there all the time. And that's not for saying sake, like I'm not going to get to ins and outs of intimacy with me and my partner, that's too much. The good stuff's happening, but can't believe I'm fucking saying this. It still made me self-conscious, and I'm just so lucky that I do have a partner who's like, I couldn't care less, like, you have gave me these two beautiful boys and I love you to bits, and it doesn't matter to me what you're looking like. You know, you could be at your worst, I'd still want to be like, hey, how you doing? Like, at the end of the day. But it doesn't take away from the fact that I myself feel less confident in myself, and it's really knocked me. And as I said, getting into the kind of weight loss journey, again, in my first pregnancy, I lost weight dramatically to less than what I was pre-pregnancy. And I thought, fuck, like, weight's just dropped off. Fantastic. If you've been here any length of time, you'll probably already know this. It turned out that I was in thyroid crisis. It turned out that my body was in overdrive and I was losing the weight because my body was in constant hyperactivity mode. And it needed to be medicated. I needed to go into the hospital. I was in there for, I think, 4 days, and then was discharged, and then they discovered that's what it was. They actually discharged me before they discovered what it was. And then I needed to go and have more tests done to see if I had antibodies to Graves' disease, which I do, but I didn't have Graves' disease. Basically, and again, if anybody's watching this video and you're thinking, oh, like, she's piling on the pounds, I am aware of the swelling in my neck. I'm aware of it. Just in case anybody's watching this and thinking, oh, she's not looking her best. I fucking know that. Like, I don't need people to tell me. There's a big swelling in my neck kind of here. That is your thyroid, essentially. I can see that. I am very aware of that. What happened after Jack, as I say, I went into overdrive and it was leaking out the thyroxine it creates because it was so swollen and inflamed, essentially. Then that meant that after things calmed down a bit, you don't have as much thyroxine to put out. So I actually went hypothyroid, which means you go all sluggish and slow and it's harder to lose weight. So I put weight back on, which wasn't horrific, but I went back to heavier than I was pre-pregnancy. And then with Thomas, I was still on medication for the thyroid. They increased that during pregnancy because that is what is advised. But it meant that in doing that, after I had him, I was on a higher dose than I was pre-pregnancy. And again, I went into that hyperactive thyroid kind of situation. However, did not lose any weight. So I had all these other symptoms like headache, anxiety, breathlessness, just not feeling right. Like I couldn't put my finger on what it was, and I went back to the GP and I was like, something's not right here, something's not right here. I did not lose any dramatic weight. I just lost kind of normal pregnancy weight, like, you know, your water weight, all that kind of stuff. So I went down to, I want to say 88 kilograms, but I'm now back up to 90 again. So it's been a real struggle. And even though at the start of the year, I was like, you know what, I'm going to get on, try and do a bit of exercising every day again. I will put in kind of things I'm doing to try and improve my feelings and health and all that in a different video. I'm just letting you know kind of what's been happening before that. So I've really struggled to kind of lose any kind of weight from having Thomas. We are only 4 months postpartum. I'm not being too hard on myself. But that has also added to my kind of confidence and just not feeling great about myself. So I haven't really wanted to be on here. And then on top of that, not having a single ounce of time to try and make myself, like, I've curled my hair today. It's the first time I've curled my hair. Christmas Day since I curled my hair. Not the end of the world, but I mean, it took me a week to wash my hair last week. It was over a week before I managed to wash my hair. That's what I'm trying to say. And in my first postpartum and pregnancy, Jack was a really chill baby. Like, don't get me wrong, he was newborn. He was taking like 20-minute naps instead of hour-long like you would hope for. But eventually we got into a rhythm, a routine, and he did start to take longer naps. He was always a very good sleeper at night. And Thomas, the difficult thing with Thomas is, well, he's not the same baby. His temperament is a lot higher. He needs a lot more kind of being held. He needs closeness. he is quite a high needs baby. It's hard to keep reminding yourself that he's not where he should be. And Alan has said the same as his dad. Like, I have to keep reminding myself as his mum, and it's really hard, and I am hard on myself about it. And it's a horrible feeling, because sometimes you do just feel like, oh my God, are you going to ever stop crying? I just feel like Jack wasn't that much of a high needs baby. Of course he had days when he's cried. Of course, maybe I'm looking at it from rose tinted glasses, but it wasn't quite as full on as it has been with Thomas. And to top that off, I obviously have Jack, who is now getting closer to 3 years old, and the terrible twos, and he's pushing the boundaries. There's all this type of thing as well, which is causing me to have real, like, I need to walk out the room quite often, because if the little one is screaming at me and the older one is like, Mum, 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 it gets to a point and you're just like, no. Again, I don't need anybody telling me, like, you're so lucky to have children. Lots of people wouldn't have them. It was your choice to have children. I don't need any of that shit here. So if you're going to comment anything like that, just take yourself out the fucking door. Because I don't need it. Because I know that. I know that. I have 2 beautiful children. And given what they've been through, especially my second son, what they've been through, I am so lucky that they are where they are today. So incredibly lucky. And do you know what? As I said already, that doesn't diminish from the stress of everyday life of having 2 under 3. I actually, funnily enough, like, bumped into my neighbour the other day, and we were both going to the supermarket with our prams, and so we walked for about 15 minutes together. We were chatting, and he says to me, do you know what? Logically, like, my logical brain knows that his little baby, who's, again, she was only born in November, I think, so she's kind of just a little bit younger than Thomas. My logical brain at 3 in the morning knows she's crying and I'm knackered and it's not her fault. She doesn't understand. She just needs comfort, or she just needs to know we're there, or she just needs fed, or she just needs her bum changed. He's like, but my tired 3 in the morning, fuck me, I need to sleep brain could just be like, come on, please sleep. And it's true, like, my logical brain knows are not setting out to fucking make my life a misery. That is not the situation, and I love them to death. My logical brain knows that. However, there is a panic within me sometimes when things aren't going to plan. There's a real panic when I'm like, well, this one's due a nap now, but he's going to come home from nursery, he's going to do this. Oh my God, but if I have the 2 of them, I'm like, well, this one's getting sleepy, he can't fall asleep in the car, but now the baby's screaming, and oh my God. Like, it's a lot to take in and take on. I don't think, this is why I was saying, like, nobody's actually said to me I'm diagnosed with postpartum depression or anything like that. I've been seeing perinatal psychiatry, but I haven't been feeling necessarily like, oh, doom and gloom. I haven't been feeling like as if I hate my life, I hate myself, like I don't want to be here. However, what I have been feeling is, I don't know how I'm going to get through the day tomorrow. I have been feeling like that at times. And I have been feeling very, very emotional at times. I think there was a day couple of weeks ago where I cried like 3 times in the day. One, because I was trying to get out of the house to go and do something nice with the 2 of them. And in that in itself, I'm like, am I putting too much pressure on myself? Because I'd done it with Jack so easily. It was so easy the first time round. And this time, trying to get out of the house with the 2 of them. And everybody says to me as well, one day you'll just do it and it'll all feel totally natural. But I've had days like that where you're like, I've got this. We're under control. Out we go. Great, fun. And then I have days where I'm just like, how is this happening? So the other day, I was trying to get out the house with them to do something nice. We were going to go and get a bus. We were going to go and do something, go to the park, blah, blah, blah. And Jack, I must have said to him like 3 or 4 times, like, can you go and get your shoes? Can you go and get your jacket? Can you put your cars away? Let's go and do this. Let's go and do this. Thomas has terrible reflux. Again, I'll talk about that in his kind of own video of how he is. But if anybody who has ever had a reflux baby knows, that means they need a lot of clothes changes because they're sick a lot of the time. And before I managed to get out of the house at 12 o'clock in the day, he had 3 clothing changes since he woke up, not including the one out of his pyjamas. So 2 down to sickness and 1 down to a punami. So I was just like, you know what? And I probably at that point should have just been like, you know what, let's just stay in and watch a Disney movie or something like that. Let's just give up today. But I didn't. I was adamant I was going. And we got there, and Jack is very much like, Mum, come on the slide, Mum, do this, Mum, do that. But I have a 4-month-old in a pram and I can't always go and do that. And also he needed fed. And then Jack's just not really listening a lot of the time. And then by the time it got us to go back onto the bus again, he's just like, I'm tired, pick me up, do this. And I'm like, I can't pick you up and push a pram. We are probably going to invest in one of those buggy boards because I can't keep this up. So there's all that to contend with. And it's just been really, really hard. And there are days where I've lifted the phone to like my in-laws, for instance, and been like, please, can you come and help me? Because it's this time and I've not, it actually was last week. I phoned and I was like, I've not washed my hair in a week. I've not washed my hair in a week. Please. And they were more than happy to oblige. It's harder for my mum. She lives further away. But they were more than happy to oblige. And they were like, of course. And I know I can lift the phone and I'm lucky that I have someone to lift the phone to. God bless single mothers. That's all I'm saying. God bless them. Because I do not know. If you've got more than one kid, I do not know how they do it, honestly. And potentially hold down a job. How? How do you do it? So I've been there. I've kind of, oh, that's the other thing. With regards to symptoms post-pregnancy, again with Jack, as I say, the weight dropped off, but not for good reason, because I wasn't well. I didn't really have any weird skin stuff. Like, nothing seemed... I was just the same as I was pre-pregnancy after I had Jack. Better, in fact, because you don't have the fucking 10-pound bowling ball on your belly and you feel alleviated and you're like, oh, my ankles aren't this fucking size of balloons anymore. I felt great for not being pregnant anymore. In this pregnancy, I have had all of the classic kind of hair loss. As I say, the weight gain has been a lot, well, the weight loss and then gain again due to my thyroid has been harder. The baby blues, and again now, so the kind of postpartum anxiety, rage / depression, if that's what it is at the end of the day. As I say, like, I am under the psychiatry team, and if I was to ask them, they would probably say, yeah, that's what it says in your notes, but nobody has actually told me that, so I don't want to label myself with that. And not because it's a stigma I don't want to have. If I have postpartum depression, I do. I just don't want to be claiming I've got something maybe when I don't, because it's quite a serious matter. I just felt like as well that when I had Jack, as I say, I managed to keep on a really good even keel, and I still had my little like me time. And then when he went into nursery just before I went back to work, it was really good because I had like a day a week or 2 days a week where I could still sit down and do a little video like this if I wanted, a little bit of me time to go and wander around the shops. As Jack's needs have increased, my first son, because he's a toddler, it's actually been like a gradual loss of self. So it wasn't like I had Jack, my first baby, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm just a mum and I've lost any sense of self. It was like I started to lose it really slowly, and then when I was found out I was pregnant with Thomas, I really started to feel, because I felt so unwell, because I was so anxious about the pregnancy and what was going to happen at the end of it. I just went into myself and I've lost myself, and I still have lost myself. I still don't really know where I am. I'm not on medication. They have asked me a good few times about that. But I'm kind of like reluctant to go on it because, again, I'll talk about it in another video, but I'm trying to do things to get myself out of this and improve my feeling and my state of mind without medication. I feel like if I was really at a place of desperation where I thought every day feels like this, then I would probably be saying, yeah, like, somebody help me. Because on the bad days, it's bad. It's really bad. But I'm not having them every day. So for me, I feel a little bit like I just need that like little moment of clarity. I just need that little bit of time. Like today, Alan's took them out, and it's the first time I've sat down in front of a camera in a long time. But it's been beneficial for me to have this couple of hours to myself just to gather my thoughts and stop and think for a minute. It's been tough because Jack got rid of his dummy over the Christmas period, and from going from having a little boy who slept kind of like 7 till 8 in the morning or 8 till 7 in the morning, whatever it would be, to now getting up 3-4 times a night, and we've got a newborn. He's kind of corrected age, he's still newborn, and I'm knackered, and every day I'm grouchier. Having all that going on is enough to drive somebody to insanity, to madness. But at the same time, there's days where, like I say, I feel like I've just got it together. We're good, everything's fine, everything's going well. It's harder because sometimes I feel really guilty with regards to Jack because Thomas cries so much. He's such like a wee tiny baby that just cries and cries. And sometimes Jack could just be asking me a question and I'm like, son, I can't actually hear what you're asking me. Can you come closer? And what's that? Sorry. And then sometimes I lose my temper with Jack because, for instance, again, he was potty training before summer. I expected some regression when his brother came along, and for the most part, he's still doing really well with it. But it's almost like I could time it to a T. That feed, that evening feed, without fail, something will be wrong with Jack. Like, without fail. It's like he needs something, he wants something. And there's been a couple of episodes where he's just taken to peeing somewhere, like just in front of me. Like, I could see him and I could be seeing him doing a little pee-pee dance, being like, and I'd be like, you need the toilet, son, go to the toilet. And he will adamantly just be like, no. And I'm like, but you need to pee, I can see you need to pee, go to the toilet. No. And then he'll just, and I genuinely am just like, it's always during that feed. And I have to say, during the week while I filmed this, he done it in a brand new storage box because I just bought it to try and clear up some toys in the living room following Christmas. And he done it and I was like, ah! And I was like, get to the potty! I was furious because I had to put the bottle down, and because Thomas is such a high needs baby and bad reflux, really bad reflux. Jack had reflux, Thomas has like fucking reflux. I had to put him down. He starts screaming because he's thinking, I was in the middle of feed. Why is this going on? Have I been laid down flat? I'm now sore because I've been laid down flat. Scream, scream, scream. I took him through and I'm like, wet clothes off, blah, blah, blah. The next day, the exact same thing happened while I was feeding him. And I stayed calm. And I was just like, you've had an accident. Take yourself through. Take them off and I'll be through with you in a minute. It was all calm. I helped him. And the situation was dealt with so much better. But in that first instance, I had to learn. And it's not like I'm just learning this. I'm not like, you know, reinventing the wheel here. I know I can't react like that. But there comes times where you're just like, I am going to go mental. And sometimes you do go mental. So if anybody takes anything from this, please let it be that actually it's okay if you're feeling like you're going to go mental and lose your temper, because yeah, I try my best not to lose my temper with Jack. I've always been very much like, recognize the emotion you're having, let's give you a choice of what way we're going to deal with this. But if I set a boundary, that boundary kind of stays, especially if it's for something dangerous or whatever like that. Like, I don't let him get away with murder, but I've always tried to be fair in the way that I've brought him up. And at the moment, it's a little bit more like, just fucking do what I've asked you to do. I don't swear at him, but my God, like, there's been a few times where I've been very close to it. Because it's hard. It's so fucking hard. Anybody who says going 1 to 2 is way easier than going 0 to 1 because you don't know what you're doing the first time round. And the second time round, you've got all the experience and all. I fucking, like, do not agree with you. I do not agree with you at all. It's fucking hard. And especially harder because my second baby has a completely different temperament to my first. If somebody said, what a dick. What a dick I was. People postpartum are like, I am, oh my God, like the newborn it's just been awful, like, get me out the trenches, blah, blah, blah. If you'd said that to me the first time after I had Jack, I'd have been like, I'm okay, actually. I'm one of those annoying dicks who was like, my baby sleeps, I'm all right, actually, I'm fine. Shut up, because my second baby It's so high needs, and he's a lovely little thing. He's so nice, and actually his nighttime sleep is starting to improve. He's actually going quite well this week. Let's see how he goes next week. But his nighttime sleep is getting way better. He is getting brighter. He's getting more like, I can stay awake a bit longer, so I'll sleep a little bit longer. Things are improving. But I think as well, because he's been prem, it's felt very like Groundhog Day. It's felt very like those newborn trenches that people talk about. And like I say, I didn't feel I experienced that the first time round. Those newborn trenches have been extended by 7 weeks because he came so early. And I'm just like, oh, Jesus Christ, somebody please help me, help me. It's so hard. It's so hard. And that's why I'm saying I don't know how this channel's going to go on. I feel like there's this, sorry, I've got really runny nose. There's this kind of bit of me now that is like, yeah, I could come on here and tell you what my monthly favourites are, but at the moment, as I say, it would be totally unjustified because I've been using this makeup that's in here for 4 months. I can't come on every 4 months and tell you about the same products that I've been putting on my face for 4 months, can I? I just can't do that. But I can come on and say to you, fuck me, we're all like, anybody who's got kids, and maybe not just kids, maybe you're just like super stressed about it. So, fuck me, like, hello, I am here, I can hear you. Like, it's fucking hard work. Being a parent is hard work, and it doesn't necessarily get easier. I would say it gets easier in some ways, but it also gets harder in other ways, because by the time I'm sure Jack's like 13, I'm going to be worrying about a whole other fucking horde of things, aren't I? So it's not that it gets any easier, it's just hard work all the time. But anybody who's watching this who doesn't have children has no inclination to want to have children, and that's absolutely fine. Like, I totally respect your wishes. But also don't turn around and be like, well, that's why I don't want them. Or, like, I hate people who are like that. I'm all for people who want to be childless. All for it. Fantastic. And I think people who are childless still have a very fulfilled and nice life. Like, having children doesn't tick a box to say, yes, you've mastered life. That's not the situation. But the two things are just incomparable. Like, you can't compare to it. Anybody who doesn't have children is never going to understand. But me, maybe by the time I'm like 60 and still have children compared to someone my age who didn't have them, it's never going to understand that person's life either. Like, not understand it. I just can't like kid on. I fully understand it because, you know, it wasn't my experience. That's what I'm trying to say. So yeah, if anybody's here watching this being like, well, you just have children, like, fuck off. Fuck off. Because there's so many nice bits as well. When we took them down to London, Thomas doesn't really know, he was only little, but Jack loved it. I didn't even need to take him on a tour bus. I just took him on a number fucking 14 bus, like, along the street in London, like, on a red bus to go a journey, and he was buzzing. Kids are great. They're so much fun. I get so much love. Like, the fact now that Jack starts getting very like, I love you so much. Like, he doesn't even just say, I love you. He says things like, I love you so much, mummy. And I'm like, oh God, yes, hello. But also, see when he's climbing into my bed and I'm like, no, back to bed. And I've always been, again, very stringent. You don't have to agree with me on this one here, but I've always been very much like, no, let's go back to your bed. We've not like got under that habit of letting him into bed, and if that is what you like to do, that's fine as well. Like, everybody each to their own. So when I have to get out of my bed in the middle of the night, and maybe I've just settled Thomas as well, and the same goes for Alan because he's very hands-on, and I'm like, no, back to bed please. Like, do I want to be like, go to your fucking bed? And has there been moments where I've properly been like, bed now? Yeah. I absolutely have, because I am tired. I am so tired. So as I say, I'm not sure how moving forward this channel is going to be, what it's going to be. It's going to be an escapade. I think I'm going to continue to keep doing vlogs and things like that. I think I actually wrote a little list here. I want to do more vlogs. I am going to keep doing empties and probably a kind of current favourites. Not every month maybe, but current favourites. I will do quick routines for like busy parents, busy mums, like what I'm doing type thing. If anything changes, like I feel like I'm styling my hair in a different way and I need to let you know about it, then maybe I will talk about it. I will definitely be talking more about body acceptance, is that what I want to say? Like that kind of thing. What I'm doing to improve my health as well, because I've always said it's not about being skinny. That's not a thing for me. I've never been a skinny person. But I literally feel unhealthy just now at the weight I'm at. And given the chronic conditions that I have, it would benefit me to lose some of that weight, and I'm at the process of trying to do that. And I'm not on a diet, I'm just trying to be more healthy, because when you've got 2 kids, it's very difficult to like get the step count. And obviously you can take them out and go to the park, but do active things like going to cardio, going out or jog or whatever. Like I can't do that while I've got them. So maybe it will take until like I go back to work and maybe Thomas then goes into nursery to get to that stage. But I am definitely going to talk more about that, because never in my 38 years did I dislike my body. Never. I maybe wasn't like always super confident about it, but I just didn't really give it much thought about. I didn't look in the mirror and ever think like, oh, look at my body. I looked in my mirror and I would be like, oh well, okay, maybe I would like a slightly smaller bottom. Maybe I would like. But as I got into my 20s, I was like, do you know what? These assets, this bum, like I'm into it. Like, and I actually was like, this shape that I've got, I love it. Like I was really confident and I loved it. And I went from being very comfortable in my own skin to now feeling very uncomfortable in my own skin, which is hard. So I definitely want to talk about more stuff like that as well. And I get that some people might be a bit triggered by stuff like that, and I completely understand if you don't want to watch that kind of content, that's fine. I would just like to talk about being a parent and stuff like that, but it's not going to become a family channel. Don't worry about that. I'm not going to do that to my poor boys. They'll not want to fucking do it. I also think as well that I'll probably go into a bit more TikTok, because I feel like it lends itself a bit better to the short form text thing. Like I'll still do long form here, but as and when it's happening, it's maybe a little bit easier to be like, okay, so here's what I'm using in the morning. And then maybe I could come on here and do a video and go into depth about what my skincare routine in the morning is, having 2 kids, and what each product is. But for snappy, more like I'm using this, and this, and it takes me this amount of time to do it. Maybe it does lend itself better to things like TikTok. So if you're not following me on TikTok already, be sure to get yourself over there, because things are going to change there. And I already had filmed a little video, I don't know if it'll go up at the same time as this or whatnot, to Instagram, and said things are going to change there as well, because we are in the season that we are in, and that season is parenthood. And I want to talk to people about it. I want to talk to people about the stresses, the struggles, and the fucking chaos that is parenthood and motherhood especially, because it's fucking hard. It's really, really fucking hard. But I think that's where I'm going to leave this video. I feel like I've kind of droned on enough and my little battery is flashing. And I will see you all again in the next one, whatever it may be. It was nice to see you. Bye.